Where you lead, I will follow.
Isn't that Paris Hilton?
Where the hell are we? Let the rain fall down and wake my dreams. Let it. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you.
The world forgetting by the world forgot. Eternal sunshine of a spotless mind. Each prayer accepted, and each wish resigned.
I want to be a great, big, huge elephant with a huge trunk like that.
Clementine.
Well, hello, my little Bumbabees, and welcome into Burn After Watching. Yes, it is time. It is time to come back with my TV review episodes. I cannot say TV guide. I'm saying it now, but I'm just telling you I cannot say that. I said it, I think, a couple of years ago when I did an episode, but, you know, we're not doing that anymore. I have since figured out that we cannot even say, this is my TV guide. Like, TV Guide has it so locked down that you can't even say that. So this is now Burn After Watching. The Bumbacast's Burn After Watching. So welcome in if you're new, old, whatever, intermittent, listener, whatever you are, welcome in. So I want to just go ahead and say that I've been watching a lot of shit lately, a lot of things on TV, a lot of things in film, and it's been a good time. I mean, I've been getting very, very good vibes from where the state of film and TV is currently at this point in time. Usually I can't say that. So I'm going to be grateful for what I got to talk about today because there's not anything that I have to complain about. Maybe I'll say a couple things that I nitpick at or whatever, but that's just, typical, whatever. But I'm pretty pleased with what I got to talk to you about today. So welcome into the Bumbacast Burn After Watching. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so the first movie we're going to be talking about today is going to be A Quiet Place Part 1. So I'm a little late to the game, so I'm starting it off with this one right away because I never saw these movies. I didn't get into them or anything like that. I kind of just cast them off to the side and it was probably overhyped or something like that. But that's usually what I do. I'll just wait a long time until there's 2 or 3 more of these movies or something like that, or seasons of a TV show. And then I watch it and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. And that's what happened. So I watched A Quiet Place Part 1 and I couldn't watch A Quiet Place Part 2 because I don't think it was anywhere that I could watch. And I was like, oh, damn it. Now I'm not going to be able to watch this or whatever. And then when I was on my plane to Vegas, shout out to, what did I fly? American? Shout out to American on that flight, or Delta maybe? I don't fucking know. Was it United? think it was honestly United. So shout out United, because United gave free in-flight movie entertainment, and there were several movies on there. Ooh, I didn't even put this on the list. What the fuck? I forgot to talk about it. So let me put it in here. We're going to talk about that too. So there were several movies that I got into when I was in the in-flight entertainment for my flight to Vegas, and then, you know, my flight like to where my first layover, and then my next flight to Vegas, and whatever I was doing, and then my flight home or whatever. So I ended up being able to watch Quiet Place Part 1, Quiet Place Part 2, Quiet Place Day 1, all within like a week span. So I'm like totally caught up, ready to go. So let's start off with Quiet Place Part 1 first of all. So this movie was just fucking nuts from start to finish. Like, it's just a complete suspense, like thrill ride. Just like, you know, there's so much shit going on, like you don't even know what's happening. Like, you don't have a moment's peace with these movies. Like, you really don't. Like, it's just like there's shit coming at you from all over the place any given moment. Like, you really just got to pay attention. Like, you can't. It's not like one of those movies that you can passively watch or whatever. I know a lot of people like to do that and shit now. I'm not a passive watcher when I watch movies. If I feel like I'm not into it, I need to look at my phone or something, I would pause the movie. I'm not going to like just let it play in the background. So anyway, really loved this movie. I did not know that John Krasinski had these like writing and directing skills like hidden within himself. He's totally one of those people that are like, you know, he paid his dues as an actor, right? He got in, that's what he wanted, you know. He's like, oh, I'm gonna act, you know. He's a good actor, no qualms there. It's not like it was like, oh, he's a bad actor and he's just trying to do something else. Like, he wouldn't have been able to do something else if he was a bad actor. So he's a good actor, a great actor, arguably, whatever, award-winning actor. And now he's doing something, I feel like it's more like passion projects for him, like writing, directing, that kind of thing. And holy good God, he is in his game. He's in the right ball game with this shit. I'll tell you that, because excellent writing, excellent directing. I don't really have any qualms with anything that took place. I'm like trying to recall like anything I would have done different. Don't really think so. Emily Blunt was also spectacular in this movie. I didn't look up the name of the kids. They were great too, though. So shout out to them. But couple things that I didn't understand, obviously plot holes, you know, that just didn't really make much sense. But spoiler alert, if you've never seen this movie before, you know, skip ahead, or if you don't care, keep watching. I didn't understand the whole older sister giving the batteries back to the little brother, and the little brother was smart enough to put the batteries in the rocket toy to make the sound to trigger the monsters coming through the forest to kill the little brother. So that was like a huge thing. I was like, why would she do that? You know, she's pretty smart. You know, I don't understand why she'd do that. But then it's like you can't really hold her fully to blame, because had the father or the mother been walking with the little boy or carrying him or whatever the hell they could have been doing or whatever, instead of walking ahead with him like all the way in the back, like that didn't make no sense to me. You know, it's their fault because they weren't paying attention to the child the way that they should have. There was like the sick kid, and, you know, they were focused on getting the antibiotics in that kid or whatever the hell. And, you know, kind of just forget about, oh, we got another kid back there, and we should be looking out for him. So, but I think that was like a whole point of the plot that was supposed to happen. You know, there was supposed to be that kind of like inner turmoil with the family, like, you know, blaming themselves, and then it looks like they're blaming each other even though they're blaming themselves, and that's why they can't face each other's truths, and like that kind of thing. You know, it's supposed to be there, right? So that was supposed to happen even though it made no fucking sense. So anyway, the creature in this movie reminded me of the Stranger Things Demogorgon. Like, that's really what it reminded me of. It looked like it acted like it. It even had like the head that like comes out like a fucking like, you know, what is that, like African flower that smells like it's a rotting corpse or whatever. Like that's what it looks like. That fucking flower or whatever the hell. Like that's what it looks like. But overall, before we keep going on with this movie, I will say overall, I will give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think you need to watch this movie if you haven't seen it. I think it was really great acting, directing, cinematography. I really appreciated the fact that it was kind of like a whole, the whole movie was just suspense from start to finish because it kind of puts you in the same environment of the characters, like this post-apocalyptic world where these monsters are forcing these people to live in silence because sound makes them come after you. Like that's like they're like they hear the sound, they're like they go to it and they're gonna fucking attack whatever the sound is. So I really appreciated that. Before I go on to the next one. Also, spoiler alert, very sad ending, very sad ending. But yet another thing that I feel like needed to happen in order to like set it up for the next movie, like to go on to show that like no matter what happens, no matter who is taken, this family will try to survive as best as they can. I thought it was crazy that fucking Emily Blunt was giving birth in the midst of all this fucking nonsense and everything. And like her husband's outside, like fucking spoiler alert, dying. And, like they're all watching it on the fucking security camera. And she's got a fucking newborn and they're putting the newborn in the box to give it putting it in an oxygen tank so they can put like the lid over the friggin' wooden box and everything. So that when the baby cries, it's like underground in this like hole that they've made that's like fucking all soundproof and everything so the monsters can't hear the baby cry. Like, oh my God. Could you fucking imagine? What are you doing? Fucking and getting pregnant during these times. What are you doing? What are you doing? I understand, you want to make love, you want to be close to your wife, that's fine, whatever. But really, you've got to know when it's not safe for like that to be going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got to know. So like again, plot hole, but I still give the movie a solid 9 out of 10. And on that note, let's go on to part 2. All right. So Quiet Place Part 2 started off with the birth thing, the baby in the box, everything. Like I don't know how you're even doing this like in the midst of like your husband's death. Crazy. Baby oxygen tank / box. That's what my note says here. The 2 kids and the deaf girl discovering the hearing aids. So at some point in like the beginning of this movie or maybe like the end of the last movie, I can't really remember. They were kind of like blurring together at this point. Like now I've watched this on the flight and everything. You have to understand. So the hearing aid spoiler alert, the hearing aid that the deaf girl, I forget her fucking name, whatever. The deaf girl, the deaf daughter, she does not discover yet, but like the hearing aid feedback triggers the creature to run the fuck away. Like it doesn't like the feedback. Like for some reason it's like the microphone feedback is fucking it up. So too little too late with finding out what kills off these creatures. So that happened. But anyway, so they go on to search for help because obviously, like, the baby's here. There's all kinds of shit going on. Emily Blunt stepped on a fucking nail at some point. I mean, there's a lot of shit happening here. So they decide they're going to go look to one of the, like, places in the woods that, like, smoke goes up in the air or whatever. And they see, like, there's probably people over there. There's fire or something to keep it warm at night. So they wander into the woods or whatever, and they come across this, like, kind of like booby-trapped, whatever, abandoned warehouse, whatever the hell you want to call it. And who do they come across? None other than fucking Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is in here, and he plays, I guess, some dude that used to be friends with all of them before the shit went down. And he had like a wife. The wife dies, like, like whatever. Anyway, so they meet up with him. He currently wants nothing to do with them. He does not want to help them. He helps them at first or whatever, but he's like, you got to go after this. So anyway, but long story short, he decides he's going to go with the deaf daughter, and they're going to go search for help because they pick up this radio reception that said this radio wave, thing or whatever. This, broadcast is what I'm trying to say, over the airwaves of the radio that they eventually pick up on. It's like, somewhere beyond the sea, that song is playing on it. And the daughter is like convinced, oh, this is a message. This isn't just some random song playing. Like, why would this song be playing? It's got to be a message. And well, sure as shit, she's right. So they go and they find this, like, boat, and there's like crazy pirate looking people, and then they fight them off, and then they go to the island, and then they come across these people, and they're like, it's like this whole community of people, and they're free from the monsters, and they like, have lives over there on this island, and you think it's really nice, and they're like, oh, we'll go back and we'll get them and we'll bring them back over here. Well, guess what? Spoiler alert, a fucking monster, creature, whatever the hell, Demogorgon, fucking clone or whatever, the dupe Demogorgon, the Demogorgon dupe or whatever, comes off a fucking boat, because guess what? It fucking crawled on a boat that they came over to the island, and now it's going to terrorize everybody, and now it's starting to kill everybody, and they have to fucking, the deaf daughter lures it into the friggin' radio station, and at this point she's like figured out the feedback and everything, and so she's broadcasting it over the thing, and then it runs away. And these things can't swim, I guess, too, so that's why they were kind of safe at the island, and that's why, like, when it was on the boat and it came over, like, it was like a whole thing, it's like you can be segregated on water, around water, and you're fine, but like when something comes on onto something to get to the land from the water, when it can't swim. The fuck was that? Something flying around. Anyway, but yeah, so that happened. And I thought that was fucked up. It wasn't as good as part one, I will say. I gave it a solid like 7 out of 10. I would maybe even give it like a 6.8 out of 10, honestly, if I really wanted to get down to brass tacks. But it was pretty good. It was, wasn't bad. A lot of frustrating parts because, you just like, bitch, don't you realize it's your fucking hearing aid? So there's that. But yeah, so I finished part 2 on one of my flights to Vegas, and yeah, I recommend it. Go watch it. It's a good horror movie, and something to just like pass the time too if you don't have anything else to watch. So why not do it up? All right, so the next thing that I watched on the plane was Quiet Place Day 1. So this one had nothing to do with John Krasinski's directing or writing or whatever. Him and Emily Blunt and the children. Nobody really from any of the other movies is in it except for like a couple people. It's like the forget the guy's name. He was in Blood Diamond, whatever the fuck, with Leonardo DiCaprio. I forget his fucking name. That guy. He's in it. And he was in the second one or whatever. But anyway, so in the third one, I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, this is probably going to suck. But I was actually pleasantly surprised to say that I actually enjoyed it more than part 2. So Joseph Quinn, that plays, what's his face, Eddie from Stranger Things that everyone loved, he's one of the leads. And Lupita Nyong'o is the other lead, and they both are spectacular. Also, we get a cameo from a Naked Brother, from the not necessarily Naked Brother, but like the Naked Brothers band or whatever. I forget Nat, Nat Wolf. I think his name is Nate Wolf. Why is it Nat? I don't know. I'll throw up a picture. But yeah, he's in it too. He's a really great actor. He does really good in horror movies. So I imagine he's probably pretty funny too. But yeah, I really liked this movie. Spectacular. give me 14 more of them. So they honestly really killed it. I think that I enjoyed, honestly, like I said, this one more than part two. It wasn't anything to do with John Krasinski. I don't know if he had like something to do with it in terms of like rights and whatnot, but I like that they had more backstories of the communities that it affected. It really shows how chaotic it really was in the city when it first got bad and when it first like really broke out. I mean, it was just like really powerful storytelling. Very suspenseful horror, all the goodies on top, top notch with that shit. It really showed the power of the creature that they were up against. I mean, in the first two, we got it. They're swift, they're huge, their strength is like unbelievable. Like you cannot even fucking imagine like going up against something like this. But in this one, it really showcases how big they are and like what they really were capable of. Like these motherfuckers were straight up just climbing the sides of the buildings in New York, just like putting their fucking claws like into the fucking concrete, like grabbing in and like hoisting themselves up to it was like crazy. So yeah, I really thought that was nuts. There were so many of them in the city too. Like obviously where the first two films take place, it's more remote and everything like that. This is showing like day one, like when it broke out and it got really bad and a lot of people died, and obviously, but there were so many of these creatures everywhere. It was crazy. Also, Lupita Nyong'o spoiler alert, has cancer. Okay. So she's in like some hospice facility that's on like some day field trip into the city for some play. And she just wants some New York fucking city pizza before she goes back to the hospice place. But now this shit's going on. She's probably just going to die there because she's got no meds and she's already dying anyway. And like Joseph Quinn is like trying to help her out, trying to find like the fucking like lidocaine patches that she needs and everything for like her pain. And oh my God, it's like fentanyl lidocaine patches or something. I don't know. Oh my God, it was so sad. And then she has a fucking cat in the midst of all of it. She's got a service cat. And I was just like stressed out the whole fucking time. Like, really got to bring a cat into this shit. We had to bring a cat into this. Spoiler alert, if you want to watch the movie and you're unsure because I've mentioned a cat at this point, the cat does survive. So that was good. I really honestly would rate this finish off for the trilogy at a solid like 8.3, I would say. Solid 8.3 out of 10. That's a really harsh grading scale, so I would give it that. Also, when I went to add these movies into my letterbox, because I always forget and I remembered this time, I went to add these movies into my letterbox and I saw, when I searched for the titles, John Krasinski is coming out with a fourth installment, third of his written and directed installments of A Quiet Place, and it's set to be coming out in 2027. So look out for that. I'm excited. I think I'll be watching for sure. But yeah, so I recommend it. I think everybody should go watch these movies. I think that they're a good storyline. Very scary shit. Like, I mean, if something like this were to happen, I mean, like, just take me out. Honestly, just take me out. Okay, so this movie, I'm just going to go completely off the cuff because I totally forgot that I watched this on like one of my in-flight entertainments as well, on my flights or whatever. So understand, like, it was like basically like a 4.5 hour flight this way, that way, whatever. So like I was able to watch a few movies. Okay, so anyway, I don't like to sleep on flights anymore now because like I got so sick. Random side tangent. I got so sick when I landed from my flight from LA to Charlotte in April. I got so sick. I think the pilot landed a little too quickly. And I mean, my whole body was like tingling. I felt like I was going to lose consciousness. I was like nauseous. I was like puking once I got on the ground. Like, I mean, like I felt like I was going to die. And then I ran to the nearest gate that I could, got a fucking bagel and some water to just kind of like, settle my stomach, and it helped a lot. But like, oh my God, I was just like, what the fuck? I like told the woman, I was like, that was the worst. Let the pilot know that was the worst flight I've ever been on in my life. Like, I knew something was wrong. And that's why, like, I legitimately, when I fly now, I call the airline and tell them that I have vasovagal like response and like, neuropathy or whatever, and like my feet and everything. And so I need help getting a seat that's like at the wing or above. I don't need to be like front row or anything like that, but like at the wing or above. I cannot be, but like, or maybe like a couple rows behind the wing or something like that. But like, I cannot be at the back of the plane. And like, they're really helpful. And I was able to do that with my flights to Vegas and everything. And I had no problem, no response like that. So I was happy with that. Anyway, so now on to the next movie I watched. So another in-flight movie I watched, Wolfman. So I was so excited for this one. I had been wanting to watch it since it's come out earlier this year. I forget exactly when it came out, but I wanted to see it so bad. I love Christopher Abbott. He was like one of my favorite people on the show Girls on HBO. Oh my God, that storyline just rip out my heart and stomp on it. Why don't you? But anyway, so I love Christopher Abbott, and I love, what's her name? Julia Garner, I think her name is. Or Julie Garner. Julie, I think it's Julie. Let's look it up right now. Before I fucking speak out my, rear end. Okay, so let's see. Wolfman cast. Yep, Julia Garner. Why do I doubt myself? Okay, so Julia Garner and Christopher Abbott, they were the two main characters in this. Everybody else doesn't really matter. There was like the little girl, and she was good and everything, but whatever. I mean, like, just typical child actress that has talent. It wasn't like, who is this little girl? She's going to be everywhere, but no offense to her. Like, she did great. She did great. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that at her age. So no shade. Like, I'm just saying, don't know her name. So Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner fucking killed it. I really liked this movie. A lot of people were like, it sucked. I didn't like it. It wasn't good. Whatever, man. I don't care what you liked. I liked it. I thought it was really good. I would honestly rate it a solid, 8 out of 10. Actually, no. If we're rating Quiet Place Day 1 8.3, then I will rate Wolfman 8.7. So Wolfman 8.7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It was scary, but it was also like the right kind of scary. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, spoiler alert, a lot of dad trying to kill mom and daughter now that he's the Wolfman, right? It was a lot of dad still like battling with his human side while the wolf side takes over after they get in a car accident and he gets, scratched by the wolf in the woods or whatever. I really enjoyed it. And I really like the fact that, what's his fucking name too? I always forget his name. He was in Handmaid's Tale. He played the guy that works for like the Canadian side, like the border or whatever. What the hell is his name? Hold on. Here we go. Sam Yeager. I think that's how you say it. He played Mark Tuello in Handmaid's Tale, but he's in it, and he plays Christopher Abbott's father when Christopher Abbott's character is a child. So I was happy to see him as well. I like him. I think he's a great actor. I really like what they did with the storyline of it all. It was very like reminiscent of like Wendigo vibes, like Appalachia kind of like thing. So that's what it made me think of. It was like a kind of mixture between Wendigo lore and like Wolfman lore. So I really enjoyed it. It tugged at the heartstrings like I knew it would toward the end of the movie. Just with the way it turns out, but I really liked it. One of those movies that you don't really need a lot to make it what it is, and to also have a great set that looks good and, does what it needs to do. I mean, they're basically just like in a house on a piece of property, have like an outside barn area or whatever. And like, but it's mostly just like this big open area with woods surrounding like the, acreage or whatever. And in the middle of the night. So I really enjoyed it. Christopher Abbott did a great job. I think that, he's just a great talent. So Julia Garner is also a great talent. Everything she does, excellent. So like I said, 8.7 out of 10. Go watch Wolfman. All right. So next up that I watched on a flight. So I half watched it on a flight and then finished it at my hotel when I landed in Vegas for when we were young before I went to sleep. So I watched M3Gan 2.0. So I was a huge fan of the first M3Gan. I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was like the perfect amount of like thriller, horror, suspense, whatever the fuck you want to say. So I was a huge fan of the M3Gan, like the first one. And when they announced that they were going to do a sequel, I was honestly really excited for it. I'm usually not a big, supportive of a sequel person just because I feel like 9 times out of 10, it is so hit or miss that it's mostly a miss than a hit and it ruins it. Or they do a good sequel and then they ruin it with a third one or whatever. And it's like, I mean, the Scream franchise and the Halloween franchise are my favorite horror movie franchises. And I think both of them have two, I think the second Halloween definitely a lot better than if you were to compare it to like Scream 2. Like a lot of people would be like, "What? You don't like Scream 2?" I fucking hate Scream 2. I don't even watch it. Like when I watch the Scream series, it's like Scream, Scream 3, Scream 4, and then maybe I'll touch upon the new ones, but kind of not really. So that's kind of what I do. I just pretend the second one doesn't exist. And I also do that with like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, pretend that doesn't exist. So whatever, do what you want. I'll do what I want. So M3Gan 2.0, I liked it. I don't think it was like as good as M3Gan, the first one. They tried to like play into a few of the funny things that we thought were so funny and like viral or whatever, like memeable, meme worthy or whatever. In the first one, like, her running in the woods on all fours or her like, dancing like this or whatever in the hallway. You know what I'm talking about? And like, so, they tried to like tap back into that a little bit, but I really enjoyed the fact that they kind of like humanized like the AI shit a little bit more. It was more like, let's work together, but then also showed it still pretty dangerous at the same time. This movie was very bloody and brutal. So if you're into that kind of thing or like you don't mind that kind of thing, get into it because a lot of people dying, a lot of people bleeding, even just like brutal beatings of robots. I mean, like very, 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 very R-rated. So Allison Williams, I love this. I love that. You know what? I just put two and two together. We're actually, talking about two people that were both in Girls and actually dated in Girls. So Christopher Abbott played, I got no fucking memory. The hell was his name? In Girls? Fuck. Charlie. Good God, man. Like, really. All that shit for that? Charlie and Marnie. They dated in Girls. Can we go on now? Please, God. Anyway, so they dated in Girls, so I'm making that connection right now. I think that's cool that I get to talk about them both in this episode. But she killed it as usual. I like Allison Williams. She's really funny, dry humor. I like her delivery. She's not really anybody like her out there, kind of like, and she's just different. I don't know. I think that she's kind of like one of those like acquired taste actresses, but I think she's spectacular. Spectacular. Give me 14 more of them. But anyway, so Violet McGraw, also the little girl that plays, I forget her fucking name in the movie, but she's Katie, right? Katie, who is supposed to be watched over by Megan and everything like that, or whatever, and it's Allison Williams' niece slash adopted daughter now, or whatever. She's great. She's a little scream queen. Every time I see her in a horror movie, she's bringing her A game. So she did great again. Elizabeth Olsen also plays Megan, natural born star. She actually did 2 roles in this movie. She was Megan, and she was the other one, something with an A. I forget. What is going on? I can't remember anything. So the other robot or whatever that, that she plays in the movie, she did a great job. Like, she did all the stunts, and like they actually used her face for the robot instead of like actually just like Megan wearing a mask. Amelia was her name. So Amelia and Megan is who Elizabeth Olsen played in it. She did great. I thoroughly did enjoy it, even though it wasn't as good as the first, but basically, like I said, the first one's going to be really impossible to replicate. I still felt that the storyline was fresh, without trying to duplicate the first one, kind of like similar things happen, but it was still, different enough that it doesn't make it feel like you're watching the same movie. Like I said, was it as good as number one? No, but I still laughed and, kept me interested enough to, obviously go out of my way to finish it when I got back to the hotel from the flight, So overall, I would rate it a solid 7.9 out of 10. So go watch Megan 2.0 if you want to see the sequel to that. It's out there. All right. So here we go. Couple more to review for you guys. We're going to go into a TV show really quick. If you are not watching Pluribus on Apple TV Plus, you need to get Apple TV Plus and you need to watch it. Pluribus is the new Vince Gilligan written, directed series that he's been working on for several years now that has finally premiered on Apple TV Plus exclusively, starring Rhea Seehorn from, as we know, Better Call Saul, that played Kim. So it's great. Right off the fucking bat, he's like beating the shit out of you with this story and what's happening and what's going on and what's happening to these people and everything like that. So once again, solidifying that Vince Gilligan can do it all. He can, make a show about meth kingpin, the meth kingpin's lawyer, or a woman who is consciously aware and is one of like 11 people, spoiler alert, in the world that is consciously aware that a virus has overtaken the human race in order to make them more compliant and also be all on the same thought pattern in life for whatever reason. So, yes, love this show so far. Like I said, Rhea Seehorn, powerhouse. There's nothing she can't do. I think the plot line is really fucking crazy. It's very like end of the world vibes, but like it's not like the world is ending. Spoiler alert, basically what's happening. I mean, you can kind of tell in the previews, in the description for the show. It's not anything I'm giving away. Basically, these scientists or these people watching the star pattern, something like that, a little bit more complicated than that, astronomical shit or whatever. They figure out this like code that's sent to them, and the code is a virus, and the virus is then created in the lab over a period of time, and then the lab then sends the virus out accidentally, prematurely, when an accident occurs in a lab and someone gets infected, and then that person infects another person, and it kind of like just spreads like wildfire. And Rhea Seehorn's character is actually the only one in the entire world out of 11 people that is consciously aware of what's going on. And there are people, that they're there, but they're not there. Some people died. They didn't make the transition in the virus, whatever the hell. But it's interesting to me because the people that are infected by this virus in the show, they all are like, oh yeah, we're on the same thing, blah, 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 blah. And like, they seem to be very affected by severe, like negative emotions. So when like Rhea Seehorn has like an outburst with one of these like infected people, like they start seizing, and some of them die, honestly. So, so I think that's like a fault in the virus, because it wasn't like the virus wasn't ready to go live when it spread. So I think there'll be more to, play into that. Vince Gilligan said that he wants to do like a few seasons of this, at least 3 or 4 seasons. He straight up said, I will do as many as Rhea will let me do with her. But Rhea literally kept this project a secret for 3 years. She did not tell a soul about it at all. But one thing I wanted to note more before I move on to the next show or the next topic, because this is like an ongoing thing, so I don't really want to tell you too much about it. I'm not going to be covering it like weekly or anything like that. I like to just like tell you like what I'm watching, how I feel about it, if I think you need to be watching it, and if there's something else that changes or like goes on, I'm like, you really need to fucking watch this, blah 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 blah. Then I'll like follow up with it or whatever. But usually I don't. But I did want to say this: the vibe that I kind of get from it is very like the Host vibe. So if you ever read that book by Stephanie Meyer, or at least saw the movie with like Saoirse Ronan, it's basically like, these alien souls, I guess you could say, come to Earth and insert themselves in like the human body, so that they can make planet Earth a better place. There's like no more money, everybody has food, everybody has shelter, there's no like famine, there's no war, there's no, everything is environmentally friendly. Like, whatever they eat, it's been a while since I've read the book or whatever, but like basically kind of gives me that vibes. Like the virus kind of makes it feel like, that whatever this virus is, it's infecting the human race to make Earth a better place, so that there's more of a sense of community. So I'm interested to see where Pluribus goes with this storyline. Like, is Rhea Seehorn's character Carol going to like want to become one of them after a while, or is it going to be a situation where she saves the world and puts people back where they belong? Or, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes. So I'm a few episodes into the show so far, and I'm liking it. So right now I would rate it a solid 8.9 out of 10, subject to change, but right now that's where we're at. So go watch Pluribus, everybody. Okay, everybody. So last up on the list of things that I wanted to review for you guys, it is one final. Oh my God, what the hell? That's a lie. That's a lie. I have 2 more things to talk about. I'm fucking retarded. Anyways, so I did want to talk to you about a couple more things, because I can't believe I forgot this one too. I was half asleep when I was writing down these friggin' notes, so that's probably why. I need to do this when I'm watching the friggin' shits. I was supposed to rewatch and do notes, but this is what I get, I guess. So anyway, first up, before I talk about the last thing, Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved it from start to finish. I loved it. Jacob Elordi did a great job. Oscar Isaac did a great job. Mia Goth did a great job. Christoph Waltz. Like, everybody did a great job. Guillermo del Toro did a great job paying perfect homage to Mary Shelley. A lot of tributes, down to the Tiffany cross necklace, the font on the Frankenstein poster being Mary Shelley's actual handwriting. I mean, it was a beautiful set. Everything was perfectly made. Nothing was CGI. Nothing was AI. Nothing like that. The set was real. The boat, the ship was real. Everything was real. Jacob Elordi sat in makeup for 10 hours. His call time was like 2 a.m. or some shit like that. Like, it was just a great film. I love watching Guillermo del Toro and his monsters. I think he always kills it. I was able to actually see the Shape of Water monster in the Academy Museum earlier this year in April when I went to go. I didn't know it would be in there. I was like, oh, here are like all the superhero kind of stuff, but it was like a lot of that kind of stuff too. And I was like, oh, this is fucking sick. So I didn't want to touch on this too much. Not really much to say other than like I really just enjoyed this film. The cinematography was beautiful, the writing was beautiful, the direction, the movie score, everything about it I really enjoyed. I would genuinely rate it like a solid like 9.5 out of 10, just because it's one of those movies that like make you feel something. I really truly loved the way that Guillermo del Toro emphasized the fact that smaller creatures and animals were drawn to the creature played by Jacob Elordi to show that this is an innocent soul, this is a pure soul, this is an untouched soul, one that's, like Mia Goth says in the film, like born from something that's not made from, intercourse, basically, without saying it in a more disgusting way. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the film. I also made the connection. I don't care if it's real or not. I know that there's a documentary on Netflix of Guillermo del Toro telling us all of his inspirations and everything like that. But there's also other artists and makeup artists and people that worked on this film as well, not just because it was Guillermo del Toro's film. Like we could have other influences that you may or may not know about. So there were people online. I made a post. It went pretty viral. Actually, one of my most viral posts on Threads, to be honest. And I said like, I understand like, Guillermo del Toro's vision and like what he wanted for everything, but I couldn't help but notice when I was watching the movie that, Jacob Elordi's creature looks a lot like the way Tom Cruise's Lestat looked in Interview with the Vampire, especially after the creature had longer hair because he wasn't getting it cut anymore. And even if it's just aesthetic purpose, not like a message like, oh, we wanted him to look like Lestat and draw like some kind of messaging from that. No, I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that like, I have like a sixth sense about these kind of things. I watch these movies and like even without me realizing it, I'll just like offhandedly notice something. I'm like, oh, he looks just like Lestat. I wonder if somebody like had that inspiration when they saw Lestat, like, just like, oh, took that one thing, like, oh, this would be good for him here, for this makeup or whatever. So I never said that it was definitive. I never said that this was real. I just said that this was my theory, like, whatever. And a lot of people lost their fucking mind. But then guess what? I would say a solid like 85% of the people replying after a while and overall were like, no, I literally saw the same thing. And then people that disagreed just stopped responding because they saw all these people in the replies that saw the same exact thing. And it was just like, brings you to a dark place on the internet because people on the internet think that if you have an opinion about something and they don't agree with it, that you're automatically wrong, especially something that's like up to interpretation on like a vision or what their creative inspiration is for something from an artistic viewpoint. Art is interpretive. Art is up for your interpretation. There's not just any one single artistic view that you can have in something like this. This was a collaborative project, even if it was Guillermo del Toro's film. It was a collaboration. So eventually one day I will meet every single person that had something to do with makeup or effects on that film. And I will find the person that was inspired by Tom Cruise's Lestat in Interview with the Vampire. And when I do, I'll be back. So, okay. On to the last movie. Let's do it. Okay. All right. So last up on the list of burn after watching movies. God. Okay. Last up on, did I rate Frankenstein? Oh, yeah, I did. But never mind. Fuck it. 9.5, right? Is that what I said? Anyway, so next up, what I'm going to be talking about on the list of burn after watching movies. This movie is another sequel that I really enjoyed. It actually just came out not too long ago. I bought it. Black Phone 2. So if you've seen Black Phone, the first one, it was a great horror film, like so fucking scary, very like real life scary shit like that could happen, like little kids getting snatched, murdered, like that kind of thing. Okay. So without giving too much away, Black Phone 2 was an excellent sequel. I really fucking enjoyed this movie. Like, I'm not even kidding. It made me cry. It like brought like tears tears to my eyes. It brought like tears to my eyes. It made me cry. It made me emotional. It made me like reflect on life. And I didn't expect that at all from this movie. I was just like, what the fuck? So I want to go ahead and say first off, without spoiling anything, spoiler alert, you know, if you don't want to listen to my explanation about these things, I saw a parallel in between the grabber in this movie, who is the, you know, the antagonist, as we know, the killer from the first film. The abductor or whatever, the child snatcher, the grabber. So crazy parallel that I saw between the grabber and his ability in this film, because they kind of like went to another level of reality. So they went into another like realm kind of. So in the first movie, it was like all just reality based. Like we weren't really like, it was kind of like a little supernatural there at the end, because the sister in the first movie, spoiler alert, she knows how to communicate with spirit, and spirit communicates with her through her dreams, and that's how she knew where to like find her brother and where he was being held. And like the brother then, you know, tells them what happened to the other kids and blah 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 blah. So touched on it just a little bit, not a lot though. And then this next movie, it went full-fledged into that, like the paranormal dream-like state, reaching out to the sister who has this like clairvoyant psychic ability, and kind of has this like ability to communicate with the dead, and the dead tell her what happened to them and all these things and whatnot. And it's really beautiful. And in the movie, though, the parallel I'm talking about, because of this like religious aspect that intertwines with like the paranormal, because like there's like religious undertones leading up toward the end of the film, the parallel of the sister being able to communicate with the dead, etc., etc. The grabber is able to communicate with her through her dreams, the same way that the dead children are able to communicate with her through her dreams to try to get help and, you know, be released into the wherever the fuck. So, the grabber, they drew a parallel to Freddy Krueger. Bless you. My poor little sneezy snorter. So the grabber, they kind of draw a parallel with him to Freddy Krueger. And I'm, you know, maybe I'm just drawing a blank on it or whatever. Don't fucking come for me. But like, I can't really recall of a time where I've seen another horror movie other than Nightmare on Elm Street that is playing into a whole like serial killer that is chasing you through your dreams and can only get you through your dreams because they're dead. They're a spirit. So they did that with this film. And I thought it was very interesting, because I don't know if people are afraid to do it because they don't want to draw like the comparison between Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, etc. to the new Black Phone series. But I think they did it very well. It didn't feel like it was a rip-off or anything like that, but but I did pick up on it. I was like, you know what, this is crazy, like that they're showing the grabber be able to reach her in her dreams and like, you know, can cut her in her dreams, like showing the blood like on her arm when she's cutting the dream, and then in real life, and like very reminiscent of Nightmare on Elm Street. So if you watch it, let me know if you pick up on that as well. Like I said, though, the religious undertones I thought were really beautiful. Maybe this is weird of me to say, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was actually really crazy because I'm going to be honest, when I was watching the movie, it was so crazy because there was a line that one of the guys say that works at this, like, you know, spoiler alert again, Christian youth camp in the middle of this, like, you know, in the middle of the woods that's like, you know, off in like Colorado in the mountains or whatever the hell. He says a line. He says, well, that's the $64,000 question, which I thought was crazy because there's like a connection to that phrase in general. I used to have this like fortune telling book in high school, and like you would ask a question, and like whatever page you flipped it over to, at whatever fortune it had on the page was the answer to your question. And like this book was very powerful. A lot of things it said were very true. The book got destroyed by a dog I had with an ex like years and years ago, or that was his dog or whatever. And I don't have the book anymore. But one of the answers in the book, long story short, was that's the $64,000 question. And so when I was watching Black Phone 2 and the guy said that, I was like, that's weird. Because it's like connected to somebody that I was close to that has since passed, especially with that answer from the tarot book from when I was in high school. So I see that 444 universe. So I was really tuned in and tapped into like that when it was said in the movie. I was like, huh. Like it just like, rings a bell. And I was like, that's interesting. And then as the movie goes on, like toward the end of the movie, spoiler alert again, okay, we learn that there's a lot of religious shit going on with this movie. The Christian youth camp, being into the paranormal, but also being religious and a Christian and what it means to be a Christian. There was a lot of like evangelical, like high horsey bullshit in there that they addressed and were like, yeah, you're not a better person because you think that you're a better Christian or whatever the fuck. And like, they, give it to them and they curse and everything. And it's really nice. The way that they just like tied it in kind of reminded me of like The Conjuring, like Ed and Lorraine Warren kind of thing. The end of the movie was really beautiful as well. It's like, kind of gives you hope. It's like, I hope that there's, a heaven, that would be cool, huh? Whatever. Maybe I'm going fucking crazy. Who knows? But anyway, so next thing that I wrote down, excellent acting by all that were involved. I really liked everybody in this movie. Ethan Hawke did a great job again. Volume levels for the movie were very good. They were at a very steady level, I guess you could say, like throughout the whole movie. So I appreciated that. It wasn't like something I felt like I had to turn up, the turn down, turn up, whatever, because the, loud parts were too much or whatever. I thought the story overall was fantastic. The excellent ending. I don't know if they would do a third movie, just the way that they ended the second one. It kind of like ties up all the loose ends. I don't really know where you'd go unless you kind of like explore the daughter's clairvoyant side. Maybe she tries to like help some more unrest souls or something like that. But I think at that point, it's like, is it really Black Phone 3? We need to maybe think of another title. But I'm just, assuming if they were to try to do that, but, because that's how studios are. They try to milk them dry. So I think that would be a great place to leave it, though. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't think they need to make a third. I think it was great to leave it there, and I think we should start doing that. I think when movies finish off in a good place, we need to just say bye-bye, see you later, it was good times, and go on. So I would rate it a solid 9.5 out of 10, just like Frankenstein, to be perfectly honest with you. I really enjoyed it. Wouldn't change a thing. I really like the fact that it was like based in like a cold area. I feel like we don't get a lot of like horror movies like in icy climates and stuff like that. We do, but not like a lot, it's like this one was good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was also really brutal and bloody as well, but not overtly so. Just really well done, good special effects. I really liked the movie. So thanks to everybody for listening. That's all I got to say on that. Don't forget to check me out on all my social media platforms at bumba.cast for Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And then also, of course, for my Hollywood True Crimes on Patreon at the Bumbacast Pod. And then right here on YouTube if you're watching at the Bumbacast Pod. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, save, send to all your friends. Tell everybody about me. All right, guys. Until next time, I'll see you soon, my little Bumbabees.